Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, when I became the chair of ALMA, I established an ambitious 4-point legacy agenda, and I am pleased with the progress that we have made so far. The first was the digitization and scorecards for accountability and action. Countries continue to expand use of digital tools to strengthen evidence-based accountability and action for the fight against malaria. Our countries are implementing national scorecard tools, and this includes 40 scorecards for malaria, 29 for reproductive, maternal, newborn, adolescent and children health, 8 for neglected tropical disease, and 3 for nutrition, and 5 community scorecards. In 2021, I launched the ALMA Scorecard Hub to enable countries to share national health scorecards and best practice. To date, 13 countries are sharing their scorecards on the hub, and I encourage all remaining countries to utilize this platform. The second of the 4-point agenda was the multi-sectoral advocacy, action, and resource mobilization. It is notable that to date, 23 African countries have launched the national Zero Malaria Starts With Me campaigns. End Malaria Councils have also supported national malaria programs to implement key activities. Countries are launching national malaria youth armies to mobilize a new generation of leaders to champion the fight against malaria. I launched the first national malaria youth army, and other countries are planning to follow this example. During 2021, ALMA launched the first regional malaria youth strategy and established a youth advisory council composed of youth leaders from the continent. The third of the 4-point legacy agenda was regional coordination. Our regional economic communities continue to keep malaria high on their agenda. Countries are enhancing cross-border collaboration and coordination. The regional economic communities have mainstreamed the agenda for the war against malaria, including at head of state, ministerial, and technical levels. 49,000 of malaria deaths recorded in 2020 were COVID-19 related. Thankfully, this number was significantly lower than the worst-case scenario predicted by the WHO, which had suggested that malaria deaths would double. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to eliminate malaria by 2030 as per the AU agenda, we as a continent must scale up our collective efforts. I am glad to report that our countries have heeded to this call. And despite the pandemic of COVID-19, countries have provided strong leadership and did take concerted action to ensure that universal mosquito nets, indoor residual spraying, and seasonal malaria chemoprevention campaigns, which were implemented as planned, while ensuring that COVID-19 guidelines were at the same time followed. Going forward, and to sustain essential malaria activities will require a significant scale-up of financial resources. As you are aware, the Global Fund has been a key source of funding for malaria control, contributing, to be specific, about 56% of the financing requirement. Indeed, the fund has supported countries to sustain essential health services during the COVID-19 pandemic. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Global Fund, which has and will continue to be a key driver of the war against malaria, is due for replenishment this year, 2022. In the previous replenishment, a record number of African countries made commitments to the Global Fund. We call on AU member states to renew their commitments to this important fund, and member states need to continue to advocate for the Global Fund and to demonstrate to the global community the significant achievements that we have made because of the Global Fund financing. Your Excellencies, let us take this opportunity Also to thank the US government for the funding it has extended to many of our countries through the President's Malaria Initiative. There are several emerging threats to the existing tools used to combat malaria, with increasing evidence of resistance to insecticides and medicines used to prevent and treat malaria. To counter this threat and ensure the war against malaria is won, the following are some actions being taken. Countries are deploying new mosquito nets and insecticides to address the threat of insecticide resistance. 2. The World Health Organization approved the first malaria vaccine in 2021 for children under 5 years. This provides an additional tool in addition to the existing tools for malaria prevention and treatment. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is imperative that we invest in these promising new tools and accelerate the rollout as we continue to innovate and introduce other tools to strengthen our arsenal against malaria. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate the many African countries that have now signed the African Medicines Agency Treaty, enabling better access to newer, safer medicines, and I urge all countries to sign on as soon as possible. Your Excellencies, Africa has set bold and ambitious targets to end malaria. In addition, we are well on our way to achieving these goals. We are increasing domestic resources for malaria. We have democratized and digitized malaria data. We have tapped into the energy of young people to fight malaria. And in addition, there is more coordination within regional economic communities. And these are strong building blocks which put us on a clear path to defeat malaria by 2030. I thank Your Excellencies for your kind attention and hereby submit the 2021 Africa Malaria Progress Report. Let us all embrace the clarion call, zero malaria starts with me, zero malaria starts with you.